Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramaham Parivrajagacharya Stotra Shapta Srimad His Divine Grace Srila HG Bhakta Alex Swami Srila Prabhupada Jai Om Vishnupad Paramaham Parivrajagacharya Stotra Shapta Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Shekaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai Samaveta Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Okay, I'm just going to get my notes quickly. Stay on track. Okay. So tonight I'm going to read from the Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is. Chapter 9, the most confidential knowledge, verse number 26. So I'll chant the Sanskrit. Patrang pushpang phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati taraham bhakti upahritam ashnami prayatatmanaha. So patram, I'll go through the word for words. Patram, a leaf. Pushpam, a flower. Phalam, a fruit. Toyam, water. Yaha, whoever. Me, unto me. Bhaktya, with devotion. Prayachati, offers. Tat, that. Aham, I. Bhakti upahritam, offered in devotion. Ashnami, accept. Prayata atmanaha, from one in pure consciousness. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila HG Bhakta Swami Prabhupada. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. Purport.
For the intelligent person, it is essential to be in Krishna consciousness, engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, in order to achieve a permanent, blissful abode for eternal happiness. The process of achieving such a marvelous result is very easy, and can be attempted even by the poorest of the poor, without any kind of qualification. The only qualification required in this connection is to be a pure devotee of the Lord. It does not matter what one is or where one is situated. The process is so easy that even a leaf or a little water or fruit can be offered to the Supreme Lord in genuine love, and the Lord will be pleased to accept it. No one, therefore, can be barred from Krishna consciousness, because it is so easy and universal. Who is such a fool that he does not want to be Krishna conscious by this simple method, and thus attain the highest perfection of life, the highest perfectional life of eternity, bliss, and knowledge? Krishna wants only loving service and nothing more. Krishna accepts even a little flower from his pure devotee. He does not want any kind of offering from a non-devotee. He is not in need of anything from anyone because he is self-sufficient, yet he accepts the offering of his devotee in an exchange of love and affection. To develop Krishna consciousness is the highest perfection of life. Bhakti is mentioned twice in this verse in order to declare more emphatically that bhakti, or devotional service, is the only means to approach Krishna. No other conditions, such as becoming a brahmana, a learned scholar, a very rich man, or a great philosopher, can induce Krishna to accept some offering. Without the basic principle of bhakti, nothing can induce the Lord to agree to accept anything from anyone. Bhakti is never causal. The process is eternal. It is direct action in service to the absolute whole. Here Lord Krishna, having established that he is the only enjoyer, the primeval Lord and the real object of all sacrificial offerings, reveals what types of sacrifices he desires to be offered. If one wishes to engage in devotional service to the Supreme in order to be purified and to reach the goal of life, the transcendental loving service of God, then one should find out what the Lord desires of him. One who loves Krishna will give him whatever he wants, and he avoids offering anything which is undesirable or unasked. Thus, meat, fish, and eggs should not be offered to Krishna. If he desired such things as offerings, he would have said so. Instead, he clearly requests that a leaf, a fruit, flowers, and water be given to him. He says of this offering, "I will accept it." Therefore, we should understand that he will not accept meat, fish, and eggs. Vegetables, grains, fruits, milk, and water are the proper foods for human beings and are prescribed by Lord Krishna himself. Whatever else we eat cannot be offered to him, since he will not accept it. Thus we cannot be acting on the level of loving devotion if we offer such foods. In the 3rd chapter, verse 13, Sri Krishna explains that only the remains of a sacrifice are purified and fit for consumption by those who are seeking advancement in life and release from the clutches of the material entanglement. Those who do not make an offering of their food, he says in the same verse, are eating only sin. In other words, their every mouthful is simply deepening their involvement in the complexities of material nature. But preparing nice, simple vegetable dishes, offering them before the picture or deity of Lord Krishna, and bowing before and praying for him to accept such a humble offering, enable one to advance steadily in life, to purify the body, and to create fine brain tissues, which will lead to clear thinking. Above all, the offering should be made with an attitude of love. Krishna has no need of food, since he already possesses everything. Krishna has no need of food, since he already possesses everything that be. Yet he will accept the offering of one who desires to please him in that way. The important element in preparation, in serving, and in offering is to act with love for Krishna. The impersonalist philosophers who wish to maintain that the absolute truth is without senses cannot comprehend this verse of Bhagavad Gita. To them, it is either a metaphor or proof of the mundane character of Krishna, the speaker of the Bhagavad Gita. But in actuality, Krishna, the Supreme Godhead, has senses, and it is stated that his senses are interchangeable. In other words, one can perform the function of another. One sense can perform the function of another, of any other. This is what it means to say that Krishna is absolute. Lacking senses, he could hardly be considered full in all opulences. In the 7th chapter, Krishna has explained that he impregnates the living entities into material nature. This is done by his looking upon the material nature. And so in this instance, Krishna's hearing the devotee's words of love and offering foodstuffs is wholly identical with his eating and actually tasting. This point should be emphasized. Because of his absolute position, his hearing is wholly identical with his eating and tasting. Only the devotee who accepts Krishna as he describes himself without interpretation can understand that the supreme absolute truth can eat food and enjoy it. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupakadamayam Dharati Svabharantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shrita Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitangscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this verse is a very well-known verse in the Bhagavad Gita, and it describes Krishna as the supreme enjoyer. One of Krishna's qualities is that he is the supreme enjoyer. So our enjoyment as parts and parcel of the Lord is very limited. We can only eat so much. We can only... All different kinds of... There's a satiation point. But Krishna, his enjoyment is actually unlimited. He can enjoy unlimitedly. And he's always enjoying unlimitedly. But he doesn't need, he's also self-satisfied. So this may seem like a contradiction, and we'll discuss that. But he's self-satisfied. He doesn't need any offering, actually. He's being served constantly in the spiritual world by unlimited devotees. Unlimited living entities are serving him. In the Brahma Samhita, it's described, Chintamani prakarasadmashu kalpa vriksha lakshavriteshu surabhira vipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasrashata Sambrama Sevyamanam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So the translation is, I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the first progenitor who is tending the cows, yielding all desire, in abodes built with spiritual gems, surrounded by millions of purpose trees, always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds of thousands of Lakshmis or Gopis. So Krishna is receiving service constantly in the spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavan, and also in his various forms in the Vaikuntha planets. He's receiving such opulent service by unlimited pure devotees of the Lord. And so this verse is saying, Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam, that if one offers to him with love just a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, he will accept it. But he doesn't need these offerings, actually. And especially, he doesn't need our offerings. Our offerings meaning our Kali Yuga material world offerings, which are not very high quality. In previous yugas, there were different yuga dharmas. For instance, in Satya Yuga, the yuga dharma was contemplative meditation on the Lord, thinking of the Lord within oneself. And in in the Treta Yuga, it was very large sacrifices. Huge sacrifices. Thousands of Brahmins, thousands of barrels of ghee, very, very opulent offerings. And in Dvapar Yuga, the Yuga Dharma was to worship the deities. So you see very opulent deity worship. There's actually still, at least I know of one deity which is still around from Dwapar Yuga, which it's I think it's Tirupati. I think it's Balaji and Tirupati. I think. But you see this darshan, it's covered in diamonds and rubies and gems. Absolutely covered head to toe in diamonds and rubies and gems. Much more opulent than our worship here. We offer what we can. We offer within our means. But in Kali Yuga, our means aren't very much. We don't have very much opulence in Kali Yuga. It's one of the qualities of this age. We're lacking. And so Prabhupada gives an analogy that a father, he provides so much for the children. He works and he provides money, he provides different things for the child. But specifically with the example of money, the child might go out and, for Father's Day or something, the child might go out and buy some paper, buy some markers, and make a crude little card for his father. And he'll offer the card to his father, and the father will be very, very pleased by this offering. So it comes from the father. The money, the means for the offering comes from the father. But when the child offers that back to the father is very pleased. And so similarly, Krishna is very pleased by even a very simple offering to him. He's Baba Grahi Janardana. He accepts the love and devotion, like it's mentioning in this verse in purport. He chiefly accepts the love and devotion with which the offering is offered. And he becomes very pleased because we're showing our gratitude to him. We're showing our gratitude for his providing, and we're also acknowledging his position as the supreme enjoyer. And it's actually a very saintly quality. It's very pious quality to acknowledge Krishna as the supreme enjoyer, and to acknowledge Krishna as the supreme in general. To understand that we're dependent on him. In the 16th chapter, the divine and demoniac natures, there's a verse given, Ishvaro hamaham bogi, siddhoham balavansuki. So this is describing the demoniac mindset Krishna is describing. And Ishvaroham, I am the controller. The demoniac people, they think I'm the controller. Ishvaroham aham bogi, I'm the enjoyer. I'm the controller, I'm the enjoyer. Siddhoham balavansuki, I'm very perfect and I'm very strong. And so this is a demoniac mindset. And so the devotees of the Lord, saintly people, they acknowledge that they are not the controllers or not the enjoyers, but that Krishna is the controller and Krishna is the enjoyer. And so with that mindset, he offers back what he's given by Krishna. He offers it back to Krishna to show his gratitude. And this is the only way that we'll be happy in this world. There's a verse in the 5th chapter, the last verse of the 5th chapter. It's also a very famous verse that Prabhupada describes as the peace formula. Bhoktarang yukitapasang sarva loka maheshwaram sukhridam sarva bhutanam gyatmamam shantim richati. That one in full Krishna is saying, one in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods thereof, and the benefactor and well-wisher in the hearts of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. So, this showing our gratitude, acknowledging Krishna as the supreme, and offering what we receive, offering it back to him, using this material nature in his service, yukta vairagya, whatever we have, using it in his service, this is the only way that we'll be happy. And so this patram pushpam palam toyam, it's actually for our benefit. Because Krishna is self-satisfied. He doesn't need our offerings. Prabhupada gives the example that many people are bathing in the Ganga and the Yamuna. And when they're bathing, they may take some water and they may offer it to the Ganga. And the Ganga, it's the Ganga's water. And the Ganga's actually, it's still full. Take a little handful of water, the Ganga is still full. And the Ganga doesn't, you add the water back and the Ganga is still full. It's self-satisfied. But this offering, it's similarly, this is the nature of our offerings to Krishna. Krishna is always full. But to show our appreciation to him and to please him, we take his material energy and we engage in his service. And in this way he's pleased. And like Prabhupada says, anyone can follow this. A poor man may follow this. He may offer what's stated in this verse, a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water. Anybody can obtain these things, no matter who you are. But Prabhupada also mentions that if you have the means to offer opulent things, you should do that. You should offer within your means. And when you do this, it purifies the senses. When you offer, in this particular verse, it's talking about food. Krishna will accept it. And when you do this, there's a verse in the Padma Purana, Takshi Krishna Namadi Nababed Grahim Indriyai Sevan Mukha Jiva Dosvayam Evas Pratyada. You purify the senses. When you offer food to Krishna and you take the remnants, it purifies the senses. So the translation of this verse is, no one can understand the transcendental nature of the name, form, quality, and pastimes of Sri Krishna through his materially contaminated senses. Only when one becomes spiritually saturated by transcendental service to the Lord are the transcendental name, form, quality, and pastimes of the Lord revealed to him. So, we have to purify the senses. And the way we do this is to engage the senses in the Lord's service. And this is purifying to the senses. So specifically the tongue in pertaining to eating. The tongue is described as the most voracious of all the senses. Prabhupada says that if you can control the tongue, you can control all the other senses, because it's the most voracious, it's the most difficult to control. And so if one can control the tongue, he can control all the other senses. And the way we do this is by taking the functions of the tongue and engaging in the Lord's service. So the tongue primarily has two functions: to taste and to vibrate, to create sound vibration. And so we can dovetail these things in Krishna's service. We can chant the holy name, we can speak about Krishna in the association of devotees, we can offer food to him and then take that food. In this way our senses are purified. And naturally, this is the control of the tongue. Controlling the tongue doesn't mean not to eat. It means to eat only Krishna prasadam. And when we offer things to Krishna, he accepts it, he eats it. Krishna says in this verse, Ashnami, he eats it. And so for instance, when we offer food to the deities, you could say, well, you offered it to him and Krishna's saying he's eating it, but it's still there. How is he eating it? There's a verse also in Brahma Samhita, Angani yasya sakalendriya vrittimanti, that all of his senses are transcendental. So all of his senses, they can perform the function of any other sense. So Krishna's actually eating with his eyes. Prabhupada's mentioning in this verse, yes, Krishna's hearing the devotees' words of love and offering the foodstuff is wholly identical with his eating and actually tasting. And so similarly, his looking at the food, his observing the offering, it's actually him eating it and tasting it and enjoying it. And this is very pleasing to the Lord. And he leaves us the remnants. He leaves us the remnants because he's very merciful. And this is also an analogy for bhakti in general, bhakti yoga in general, is that it's a descending process. That there's a saying that you can't take the kingdom of God by storm. You have to get the mercy of Krishna and the mercy of the Guru and the mercy of the previous acharyas. And in that way, you'll be able to enter into the kingdom of God. Krishna says, Bhaktya mama vijanati yavan yaschasmi tattvataha, that only by devotional service can one understand Krishna as he is. And the previous acharya, they're servants of Krishna. They've obtained the mercy of Krishna. And so when we follow in their footsteps and we please them, they bestow that mercy onto us. And we obtain the mercy of Krishna through them, through this disciplic succession, the Guru Parampara. And we can't understand it by ourselves. Prabhupada talks about this in this verse, that by being a Brahmin or by being a scholar or by being very learned, you can't attain Krishna. Speculative philosophy, it's very useless, actually. So there's a verse, I'm not sure of the Sanskrit, but Prabhupada quotes it, about how when you speak with philosophers, they're always saying something different. Every philosopher, you look at philosophy without Krishna, without Shastra, without Guru, it's always something different. It's always very speculative. And it's just very bewildering. You won't get anywhere with it. And so you have to follow in the footsteps of the previous acharyas who have obtained the mercy of Krishna. And by that, they understand. They understand the science of devotional service, and they can bestow that upon you through this Guru Parampara. And so when you follow in the steps of the previous acharyas and the Guru, and you serve the Guru, you can very easily attain Krishna. There was a story in the Chaitanya Charitamrita about when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the devotees were doing kirtan at Srivasangam, at Srivas Pandit's house. He invited there was one brahmachari, one Naishtika brahmachari, he was very austere and very learned. He drank only milk. And he begged Srivas Pandit, he very much wanted to see the Lord's dancing. And so Srivas, he said, okay, I'll have to sneak you in though, because the Lord, he was very particular who he let into those kirtans. And so Srivas Pandit, he snuck this brahmachari in, and he was hiding in some place in the house, I forget exactly where. And so this kirtan was going on, and the Lord, he stopped the kirtan at one point. He says, I'm not feeling the bliss. I'm not feeling the usual bliss. Is there somebody here who shouldn't be here? And so Srivas Pandit, he couldn't lie to the Lord. He said, yes, Lord, there's one brahmachari, but he's very, very austere, and he's very learned in the Shastra. And he drinks only milk, and he's like this. He's a Naishtika brahmachari. And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually became very angry at this. And he said, just by drinking milk, no one can attain me. A person may be a renunciant without mundane attachment, but if he does not surrender unto me, I do not accept him. On the other hand, even a low-caste dog-eater who takes full shelter of me, I accept. So it's not about becoming a Brahmin. It's not about becoming very learned in Shastra. These are things which may help one to develop love for Krishna, but they're not the all-in-all. Krishna is not pleased by one's scholarship. But he's pleased by the devotion. Like I said earlier, Krishna, he's Bhava Grahi Janardana. He accepts the devotion which things are offered. Not that he only accepts offerings by somebody who's read Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita 3 times over. But he accepts offerings from his pure devotees, because he's actually conquered by love. The Lord comes under the control of his pure devotees. Like there's a story in I think it's the 10th canto. Sudama Brahman, yeah. So he came to see the Lord, and actually the Lord, he worshipped him. He worshipped this devotee of his. So if we follow the instructions of Guru and Krishna, they'll be very pleased. And the process is very simple. It's all here. It's all in the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam. All the instructions are there. We simply have to accept. And Krishna is very merciful. If you take one step toward Krishna, he'll take 100 steps towards you, Prabhupada says. And so the process is given by the Guru Parampara, by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, and so we simply have to follow. I heard one devotee, he said that the door to pure devotional service is open. We simply have to walk through. So we should take full advantage of Krishna's instructions in Bhagavad Gita, take full advantage of Prabhupada's instructions in his purports, in his lectures. And like this, we should serve Krishna, we should serve the Guru, and we should serve the movement of Lord Chaitanya. So are there any questions or comments?
Is there any evidence? You said that there is a deity from Dwapar Yuga.
I maybe shouldn't have mentioned that because I'm not entirely sure, but I do remember, I do know that there's, perhaps I could find it, but I do know that this darshan of
Very opulent.
yeah, it's very, very opulent. I do remember hearing that it was from Dwapar Yuga, but perhaps I'm wrong about that. I'm willing to accept that.
Amazing. For the soul, it is amazing.
Yeah.
But anyway, your talk was very, inciting and very to the point, and your examples are very good.
Thank you
I
very
really
much.
appreciate that.
Anything?
I have two questions. One is just to explain what a Naishtika Brahmacharya is. But the more important question is to attain the mercy of the previous acharya. They're Bapu, no longer here. So, and we do have a guru who's come from that lineage. So is it by serving our guru now that we get that? Or are we actually, praying to these previous acharyas who are no longer walking here to get their direct blessings? Or is it through guru?
You can do both. Yeah, because the guru he connects you with these personalities. But also that's also there praying to them directly, following their instructions, reading. For instance, Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami's left so many. The Goswamis, they left so many books. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, also so many books. Bhakti Siddhanta, they've all left instructions. So by serving these instructions, we can get their mercy.
And then what type of brahmacharya was that?
A Naishtika Brahmacharya is one who's been a lifelong celibate. Yeah. Okay. Anything further? Hare Krishna. Okay. So, Tulsi Puja. Okay. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.